Right, welcome to the summary recording of Emotional Think Tank Season 2, Episode 10, Altered States. Just had one person show up. We ended up talking about a bunch of different stuff, so there's no original audio recording to be shared, but I'll run through a little bit of the topics I was going to present. I'll also demonstrate a couple of thoughts or questions maybe to bring up themselves. So to start off with, there's a lot of, as to be expected, there's a lot of different theories and a lot of different articles about altered states of consciousness or brainwaves on the internet. And pretty common, there's 4 states that are pretty universally recognized. And then I was able to tune into another 2. Specifically in brainwave states that are related to aspects of consciousness. So starting from the lower end of things, the delta brainwaves are associated with bliss, shamanic practices, deep sleep, drum beats, healing states. They also tend to suspend external awareness. And those typically operate in the 0.5 of a hertz to 3 hertz range. And hertz are the number of vibrations per second. So then one of the extra states that I found was an ultra low frequency delta state. Kind of looks like a sawtooth. And that's typically associated with trauma, specifically brain and head trauma. It did get me thinking about dense states and really slow states in the body. I'll get into that a little later, but typically intermittent and biphasic, so it reflects duality, and that's a zeta state. So that, again, is an ultra-low brainwave frequency, almost fluctuating between 1s and 0s. If you will. And then above delta vibrationally is theta. And that's in the 3 to 8 hertz range. And that's typically associated with deep relaxation, deep meditation, light sleep, and it's a concentrated internal awareness, highly focused on what's going on within your body. Body work would be an example of that as well. A lot of people will slip into altered states of consciousness when they're doing external activities. And then there's a particular, I guess this could also be another brainwave, so brainwave frequency, call it about 7 total frequencies that I uncovered, and I'm sure there's infinitely more. This is just what I was able to find. In the 7.8 to 8.5 hertz range is called the Schumann resonance, and that resonates at the same frequency as the ionosphere. So a lot of people, when they're in that Schumann resonance, experience a Gaia consciousness or a connectedness to the earth. So that was pretty cool. And then in the 8 hertz to 12 hertz range is the alpha. So we just went from theta to alpha state. This is typically associated with creative visualization, daydreaming, light meditation, and expanded awareness. When people find themselves in just, a whatever, not really apathy, but just calm and connected, not really too worried about what's going on. Then above alpha, in the 12 to 38 hertz range is beta. And this is typically action-oriented, high-energy, accelerated breathing. Heart rate is accelerated. Speaking is faster. I know a couple of people that almost exclusively operate in this range. And they're very, again, action-oriented, very high-energy, very, what are we going to do? They kind of... kind of remind me of like the what is it, Woody the Woodpecker, or who's that other guy in Hoodwink, the squirrel that gets the coffee. And then actually even beyond beta is another state called gamma. And gamma is multiphasic brain activation. So these people that I talked about may even be operating in the gamma range, depending on where their vibrational frequency is at. So that's 38 to 100 hertz, and that's multiphasic brain activation. High arousal states. It also, in this space, it actually produces an audible vibration. You can actually hear the tone. So, like in lovemaking or whatever else, when multiple parts of the brain are activated, the breathing's intensified, the connection is intensified. That's where when people are operating that frequency, that profound sense of interconnectedness, but also bodily awareness comes in. And I found a couple of YouTube videos on this. There was one particular thing, and this was actually written by a lama on states of consciousness and multidimensional states of awareness, and he said that there's no direct correlation between states of consciousness and brainwave activity or brain vibrations. And that's an interesting thing to bring up, because I've noticed myself that I've experienced every one of these states, different levels of awareness through meditation or sleep or shamanic practices, things of that nature. But it wasn't an exclusive state of awareness. I'm rarely spend an entire day in alpha state or beta or any of the other ones. So it tunes me into the frequencies that we go throughout the day. Also, as I mentioned earlier, the zeta state, where it's a biphasic, really has a lot to do with duality. When we experience trauma of any kind, not just head trauma, but trauma within the body, trauma within our emotional body, trauma of any kind, we get into a space of cognitive dissonance, as well as just a state of unbalanced. And so we're fluctuating between what shouldn't be real and what we discover is real, or we associate with being real. So this fluctuation of vibration goes back to the quote that I'm very fond of, from Nikola Tesla, which is, if you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And energy, we've gone over many times on what it is and how it's defined and the rest of these things. Vibration and frequency, when we're talking about hertz, we're talking about frequency. So, here's this really brilliant guy who, is very often misunderstood and allocated into science fiction and whatnot, who's telling us to look into these vibrational states. Another thing that was brought up, Brent was actually the guy that showed up, and he's a hypnotherapist. And he was talking about how his process, that's been developed by this school that he's a part of, actually goes into each of these states and promotes the healing work, because since we do operate at all these different states of awareness, traveling through them is a very necessary part in healing and moving forward. And that's the reason, well, one of the many reasons why I've taken on the title as a shaman is that I regularly walk people through these states, through my shamanic sound therapies, through karmic processing, karmic rebirthing, clair awareness, the rest of these things. And it's something that I've just done on a semi-conscious level. I know the direction that I get to go, and I walk it instinctually. If you tune into the summary for last week's emotional think tank, we were actually going into the instinctual consciousness, or the belly brain, and the mind brain, or the conscious awareness that exists in both of them. And mind brain, even though it seems like a repetition, we brought up in there. Sometimes the association of mind isn't an internal process that's associated with the physical brain. So that was a big part of it. So with this, I feel I'm complete with the notes. With this, it's about tuning into your own vibrational frequency. My friend Zoe, actually, in his book, he encourages people to create a vibrational word association through their own internal awareness. So this an expansion of that is what I call energy kinesthetics, and that's actually tuning into how the energy moves to and through and around you in your day-to-day life, specifically within the body. That's where the kinesthetics comes from. So how does this vibrational relationship specifically relate to you? So some questions to bring up are: what is the lowest frequency? What's the lowest word? What's the lowest state of being or awareness that you can imagine, or that you found yourself in, or maybe even that you're currently in? And then what is the highest? What is, if everything was perfect and money wasn't an option, and or an issue or a problem or anything, if money was taken care of, if all of your basic needs were met, what would your highest state of awareness and connection be? And maybe that is your highest state of awareness. Maybe having the basic things met and taken care of is right now the highest state that you can imagine, highest state that you can connect to. And then find maybe where the middle ground is. Some people are more comfortable fluctuating between extremes. They find more connection, more awareness in going really low, going really deep into things, and then going really high and just launching themselves into another experience. Other people find connection and security and safety in stability. And for them, stability looks like constant, dependable results and energies. So just tune into what works for you. The idea is to develop an internal dialogue, develop an internal reflection, so that when you're presented with different opportunities in life, rather than always checking outside of you for what the correct or appropriate or best response is, you can do an internal check and say, I know for me, this is what I get to have happen. And with that, you can lovingly create boundaries and communication and awareness with not only yourself, but the people around you. And to feel that connection, regardless of what altered states you're going through, is a basic human desire, as I've experienced it myself, and the people that come to me, they bring that up a lot. So along with altered states of consciousness, not just going into the brain, and not even just focusing on consciousness, just altered states. Among those can be depression, anxiety, addiction, but they can also be in the bliss and synchronicities, miracles. A lot of people associate miracles with something really huge. It's got to be, there's no miracles at this level. It's got to be at this level up here. Einstein, another one of my favorites, said that there's two ways of observing reality. Either everything's a miracle or nothing is. And Einstein personally prefers the former. Everything's a miracle. And so it depends on your definition there. But with miracles, the miracle can be in the connection. It can be in the events. It can be in the awareness. Lots of different ways to observe miracles. See if there's anything else rambling around in there. Just feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel so that I know that the content is actually going out to people that are enjoying it. A lot of these are for me to assist me in developing my curriculum and getting clear with the people that come into my space on what services they'd like to see. But along with that, there's also the connection that this information is valuable and useful to the people that it's going out to. I'm getting a lot from it personally, but having the awareness that it's serving the people that it's going out to, that's one of the ways that I lovingly communicate and receive feedback. If you do deserve to schedule a consultation, I'm practicing out of Sacred City downtown at 353 West and 200 South, Suite 102. And we have a regular class schedule there, so you can check out thesacredcity.us on the internets, and you can also check out the Facebook page, Sacred City. And then feel free to contact me directly. I'm going to share this on my page, and a lot of you interact with it already, but just tune into what works for you. And then if you deserve to connect with me, please do so. I've got hourly consultations. I do everything from body language to neurolinguistic and quantum neurolinguistic programming. As I mentioned, karmic processing. It's a really great way to tune into forgiveness and energy flow and a bunch of other tools. I do teach shamanic practices and awarenesses. Bank is a very fun personality-based tool that tunes you into the different types of people. Really great for team building and awareness in that regard. And a la carte. I mean, I've got people that will just come to me regularly and say, I want to do this. Do you know how? And if I don't know how to do it, we'll find out together. And if I do, then I'm absolutely open to sharing that service as well. So namaste. I love you. Thank you. And be well.